Canada's Mark Carney gets the top job at the Bank of England. A major surprise there. UK Parliament debating the choice right now. And of course, Mervyn King, the current governor, steps down in June next year. But just what will this mean for monetary policy in 2013 and beyond? Joining me now from the London Stock Exchange is Victoria Clark, economist at Investec and previously an economic advisor to the Cabinet. Victoria, Mark Carney, a major surprise.
It is. It's a huge surprise. You know, we'd looked at the shortlist and Mark Carney had fallen off it some time ago. We knew that the Treasury had been keen to get him a while back, but we all but thought he'd ruled himself out. So it's certainly a high-profile appointment for the Chancellor, but a big surprise.
It's probably George Osborne's boldest, bravest step yet as Chancellor.
It is. You know, we all thought that the Chancellor would have an inclination to try and shake things up at the Treasury. We've just, at the Bank of England, we've just had the 3 reviews through, suggesting steps forward in things like forecasting and also in the way that the bank works. And perhaps this is another sign there that he means business. He appoints a very outside, independent Bank of England governor and hopefully shakes things up a bit and gets the Bank of England perhaps thinking in a slightly more radical way about the way it does business.
Is this something of a coup for Osborne?
I'm not sure I'd say that. I mean, you know, Mark Carney is a very credible central bank governor. He's done a very good job at the Bank of Canada. He's very well respected internationally. He has an excellent background, private sector experience as well, which perhaps was something that Osborne was key to weigh in there. So, you know, it looks like a very high-powered appointment, but certainly, you know, it brings in some of that broader experience that Osborne would have been looking to get. International
respect, yes. Private sector experience, yes, but yeah. He did spend 12, 13 years or so at Goldman Sachs. Some people might not look too favourably upon that.
You know, you can look at it as you wish, but it's that breadth of experience that I think Osborne was looking at, and you know, it really is important to have that broader experience in central banking. And I think that was one of the things that quite a lot of us looking at the shortlist sort of thought, well, where does Osborne go to get that? So yes, it doesn't really matter where that's brought him from. His breadth is actually really wide. So in that sense, you know, Osborne's done very well in getting such a rounded appointee.
So what does this mean for Bank of England policy going forward?
Well, you know, he's got a rolling brief, really. The questions about whether they continue with quantitative easing, whether they want to tweak the bank rate at all, and whether the bank continues in its slight edging away from quantitative easing as its primary tool. So we've seen recently the funding for lending scheme, and that's very much a rolling mandate. Now, it's difficult to see Mark Carney suddenly coming in and you know, turning that around completely on its head. But, you know, we may see a more kind of gradual move away from quantitative easing or some of those other policy elements if he wants to really shake things up. And, you know, the funding for lending scheme was a very small evolution of that. Maybe there'll be some bigger bang sort of policy shifts out there. He's been very hawkish of late at the Bank of Canada. So again, perhaps he'll bring some of that angle to the Bank of England.
And what do we know about his management style? Because King, it was said, you know, sort of ruled by, you know, sort of his iron fist, if you like. What do we know about Carney's style?
Not a huge amount. You know, we've not seen very much about how he manages his style, how he, you know, works within the Bank of Canada. All the comments that have come through in terms of his skills base and his CV are obviously very positive, but we don't know a huge amount how he'll get on with the other big personalities at the bank, and Charlie Bean, who we've just heard is going to stay on for some time. You know, those relationships are actually pretty important in how he manages to govern that monetary policy committee and take it with him, particularly if he wants to shift policy in a particularly new direction.
And finally, how do you expect financial markets will react to this? Not just for today or tomorrow, but you know, going forward.
Well, the initial shock will be followed fairly quickly with some sort of digestion of what exactly, you know, Mark Carney might mean for UK monetary policy. And as I said, you know, he's had a slightly hawkish slant to his policy outlook at the Bank of Canada. So, you know, potentially that could be seen as slightly worrying for UK markets with, at the moment, quantitative easing, and one of our few firefighting tools, you know, to try and get the UK economy moving again. So there could be some nervousness there that, you know, he's a little bit less keen to throw, the kitchen sink and everything at the economy to try and get things moving again? Is he going to be more of an inflation hawk?
OK. That was fantastic stuff there. That was Investec's Victoria Clark. Many thanks to her. That's all for now. I'm Jamie McGeever. This is Reuters.